Hello, guys. Welcome to the Night Shift podcast. We are talking back in after our short break. So, this is actually a part two of our previous podcast where we talked about conspiracies, and this is going to be a continuation of that. However, we would still like to reintroduce all of us, especially since we have another member of the podcast, Sam, I would say, right, joining in for this part. So again, I am Huna or Lucas. I might be called both, and I am, I guess, the host. And let's just go down the line once again.
So hi, I'm Hinata or Hina. Yeah, I don't have anything else. I'm not interesting. Go ahead.
Nice.
Hello, this is your boy. You can call me Mike for short, and Mike Lee Torres for long. I like silly stuff, I like memes, and I also love myself good conspiracy theories.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
sir.
Sir.
And then we also have this time joining with us, Mally. If you would like to introduce
Hello,
yourself.
I'm Mally. I haven't been here since the first episode we recorded, and I'm happy to be back.
Good to have you
Yes.
back.
Yeah, we're
Good
glad
to
you
have
were
you back.
back.
Glad you could join us.
So
Yes.
this one is again a little more structured, unlike the first podcast we had. So we will actually have a topic to talk about, just like the last podcast that you should have listened to before this one. So it's a continuation.
Link in the
So,
description below.
Yes, link will be in
of
the
course.
description below to go watch the first
Hmm.
part as well as our very first video, and then you can come back to this one. Or
Yes.
if you like chaos, you could watch this one and then go backwards.
No, if
Hell
you like
yeah.
chaos, remember to go watch the first one because that was true chaos.
No, you go to the
Okay,
first one, you come to this one, then you go to the second one.
there we go. That's the perfect order for chaos. All right. So I believe we will be talking about something that Mike brought up in the during the last part of the podcast. If you would
Hmm.
like to explain a little bit more.
Okay, so to any person who grew up in the 90s, the arcades were a staple of pop culture, and not just pop culture, just childhood in general. Well,
Mm.
every kid who went to their local Chuck E. Cheese, their local arcade, has seen the message on arcade screens. Winners don't do drugs. It's
Uh,
always been no, seriously. Like
Hell yeah.
arcade machines show that message all the time.
Really?
nice.
Yes,
I've
like
been to so many Chuck E. Cheese's and arcades, and I've never seen that before.
now, back in the day, uh, the media, the TV, used to go about arcades being a bad thing. That there are people
Oh,
handing out free drugs to children and all that. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, tell me where arcade that is, right? Come on, sign me up, right?
Yeah, oh.
There's secretly cocaine in the Parmesan cheese.
Absolutely. But one of the most prevalent stories going around arcades is like mysteries. Is like if you ever heard of Mortal Kombat back in the day, there's always this kid who tells this story that, oh yeah, there's a secret character called Ermac, you know?
mm-hmm.
So that's how rumors gets passed around. But one story that's stayed consistent, but nobody has been able to prove is a video game that it sort of just appeared and disappeared like out of nowhere. And
Hmm.
the video game is called Polybius.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So like I didn't really ran into people who believe about the machine, but going through message boards because I'm a big fighting game fan. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I like to go through arcade message boards and all that. People still talk about it.
Mhm.
how apparently it's a secret government experiment to uh, get, I don't know if it's like to get new CIA recruits and whatnot. It's very similar to if you ever seen the movie War Games.
Mhm.
It's uh, it's like Matthew Broderick. He opens up this game and he didn't realize he was doing an entire military exercise the whole time.
Yeah.
So what Polybius is, it's apparently made by a German company. I believe it's called the Zinslotion, and the game is very colorful. There's a lot of lights according to the descriptions,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody has seen it. And apparently, if you play it, there's like uh, a way for the government to find out who has the high scores,
Mm.
and then the men in black will show up and recruit you to join the CIA or some sort of secret service.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Spooky.
Mm-hmm.
So
Quite quite bonkers.
I
yeah,
remember. Go ahead.
okay, go ahead. Yeah, up to this day, no one has ever found uh like a copy of the arcade machine itself. Like if it was in every arcade in North America,
Mm-hmm.
where would they bring all of it? You know,
Yeah, I mean,
did they just bring people to collect them all overnight and just dump them somewhere? It just that's it, gone. And it's not just arcade. Like The Simpsons referenced it.
uh-huh.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like one episode of Bart in an arcade, and it's just sitting in the background, an arcade machine with the Polybius name on it.
Yeah.
So it is a facet of pop culture, but there's no clue about it. Like
Yeah.
I've tried looking up the company that was supposed to make it,
Mm-hmm.
but there's nothing about them.
Mhm.
I think what's really interesting about this is like I used to be an avid like creepypasta reader and like I would read all of them and this is one of the ones that I had read and like I it's very interesting to me that people are still talking about this game even though like it's been years and years and years after. So I think
Hmm.
like even though people like I guess the question that we have to ask is there somebody that has played it? Like, is there like a witness, or like, are are they just no one remembers playing this game? They just remember it being there. Like,
Well,
It's
according to my reading, there's a lot of people who claim to have played it,
right?
but there's this consistent description of it being Vectrex lines,
Mm-hmm.
very colorful, and some people tried making like recreations of it that you can download online too.
Mm-hmm. I remember this is probably the creepypasta part getting in the way of actual facts, but I remember it saying that like whoever played this game and got a high score would like die.
Mm-hmm.
Like because it was so like colorful, like they would get like sick and they just couldn't handle it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is that true or is that just creepypasta coming in and literally messing up the entire story?
maybe.
That's the creepy pasta part.
All right.
The ones that I have encountered is like headaches, mental shutdowns,
Hmm.
mind control, sort of
I
thing,
did hear about the mind control part.
which is
So,
go
uh,
ahead.
something really similar that I also want to kind of bring up.
Go ahead.
If it's like, because I think this is the thing about Polybius is it's a mystery, I guess, right? Like you can't really confirm it anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of like a like almost like an internet hoax, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the same lines, I want to bring up the topic of Cicada 3301, if you guys know what that is.
I've heard about it, but I do not remember what it is.
I remember hearing about that a while ago.
Yeah, so the Cicada 3301 also had kind of like, I would say, like similar, um, like apparently similar motives to what the Polybius machines kind of did. Like you would supposedly be invited into like a group if you somehow solve this mystery.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like it popped up on 4chan as well, like 2012, 2013,
I
maybe
remember
a
I
little bit
found
later.
this. I saw a video of it from Lemino. I watched it back like 2 years.
Uh huh.
I'm trying to look at the video right now. Give me a second.
Yeah, so like a quick summary of that would just be how like it was some really hard like puzzles and whatever, and then apparently like it all happened at once, and then apparently it was solved or whatever, and then like a group of people were taken into this like the people who solved it were taken into a group, and then like it like kept emerging and disappearing and re-emerging, and then like it kind of never really had a good conclusion. Like it was both a hoax and somewhat reality, because I do believe there are people that claim that they have solved the puzzles and whatever of Cicada 3301, and it's also like I think there was like rumors of it being a cult or like part of the Illuminati or like First World Order, like that stuff, like being like a Freemason or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's really crazy as well. It's kind of similar to the Polybius arcades that like it promoted like a bunch of players, I would say, and then you would supposedly get a reward, and this has never been confirmed, and it's just very like interesting to read about and think of. So
Mm-hmm.
like whatever happened to this, I would say group. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. Yeah, you guys should all like maybe like look up a video, read upon it. It's quite. I think I also saw a video on the Cicada 3301, and it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do we have more comments? Questions or comments? Anything?
No, I don't know. Like, it's just all of it is just super interesting and just like taking a deep dive into thoughts about stuff.
Yeah, this is also kind of connected to like how we talked about in the previous part of the podcast of like
Mm-hmm.
government cover-ups. Like if this is indeed initiated by the government, it's
Yeah.
also like a cover-up in the sense that we do not have full disclosure on what happened, and it's
Yeah.
again it's going into how crazy powerful like
Mm-hmm.
the leaders are in like our country or like even all around the world.
Yeah, and I
But
think it also goes into what we were talking about mind control last part, like what Caster was saying about the whole the Polybius being in mind control. Like we were talking about mind control in MK Ultra. Like literally the government has been proven to be working with mind control back in the day. So like why not
mhm,
on a video game where going to arcades and having these literal video game machines in arcades where people would go, like that doesn't seem like such an irrational idea or thought. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody back in the day went to arcades. Like that was
Mhm.
the place. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
that's such a smart strategy. Like obviously, like mind control bad, but like if I were the government and I were wanting to play something, specifically to target, like kids,
kids.
like I
Hmm.
would definitely put it in something where they go. And where do kids go back in the day? Arcades or movie theaters. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
I
saying? So,
think
like, I don't know.
yeah, I think that was like one of the like a points brought up by maybe I don't know if it was brought up in like any of the Polybius theories or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but like I think there were like conspiracies about a bunch of TV shows for children and like all these other like entertainment for children, how it's like all brainwashing kind of. Like you start when you're
Well,
young and then it like
yeah.
it like converts you as you get older.
Well,
Like
that's been proven. That's not even a conspiracy. Like, we've
yeah,
seen it with
well,
Looney
yeah.
Tunes. Like, even Looney
Hmm.
Tunes, when what World War Two was happening, literally,
Mm-hmm.
like, they depicted Germany as like awful and
Uh-huh.
Japanese people as awful.
Yeah,
Like,
there was this like
That's more
really
like
but
a
racist
propaganda,
episode.
though,
I
right?
was about
well,
to say they're using
well,
propaganda in
The
yeah,
Yeah.
cartoons.
but it's
subliminal
still.
messages and all
Well,
that.
I wouldn't say that's subliminal messaging, but that's still brainwashing kids to have, that prejudice, against them. Like they see it in their favorite TV show or, cartoon as a kid. Obviously, they're going to remember it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think the issue is not just like the propaganda, because I do believe there are. I can't say like an example for like, but I have seen like people mentioning that how like it very might well be like brainwashing for like other like I guess reasons outside of just like propaganda for the
Well,
country,
yeah,
you know.
like there's subliminal messages, there's visual messages, there's stuff like that. But that's a whole nother conspiracy theory that we can get into. I don't know if we want to get into it now, but I have, you know, thoughts about that and, examples that I can use, but like, that's like a whole nother deep dive that we can do. But yeah, that could be a whole part to itself, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
Uh,
just the whole brand washing situation and subliminal messaging, like, I don't know, it's just crazy.
so like speaking about like brainwashing and
Mm-hmm.
the government having control. Like I kind of want to bring up like the flat Earth theory kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I think most people know what the flat Earth theory is, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, I would say a lot. I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Okay, I'm gonna say like most reasonable people, like don't believe the flat Earth theory because
Reasonable.
yeah, because like it's proven by physics that like a disk flying planet will not be able to survive without collapsing upon itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys might know what I'm talking about, but
But
like
put yourself in the mind of a flat earther, though. Like,
yeah, no,
yeah,
no,
that's
I'm just
basically a lie. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I so like getting into the mind of a flat earther, I believe that like flat earthers want to kind of believe in like the flat earth theory as like I would say an alternative to like the government. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like if you're going against the government, like you're going against the popular consensus, and like this consensus is kind of brought upon by like the government, right? Like it's brought upon by NASA. It's
Mm-hmm.
brought upon by like all these other like space exploration
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
like parts, and that's all like that all has some part to do with the government.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like by believing in the flat Earth theory, you're kind of like going against like the government, and you're going
Yeah.
against like powerful authority figures, and you're kind of like making a decision for yourself. I think that's what a lot of not like all flat earthers, but I think that is a good amount.
Mm-hmm.
That like that type of thinking can be applied to a good amount of flat earthers.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly it's like not the worst message in the world. It might be a little bit of like false information, but I
Mm-hmm.
definitely do see where flat earthers are coming from. Like
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like what I said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything to add, but like I just wanted to bring that up because
Mm-hmm.
like we're talking about how powerful we have such powerful authority figures, such powerful government structure in our countries and like with the world
Yeah.
that we do need something like this to kind of like just to step away from kind of just go against powerful people.
Yeah. I've definitely heard that. some people are saying that like the flat Earth theory isn't just believing in a flat Earth. They're saying like
Uh-huh.
it's more than that. It's more not trusting the government, which like I totally get that. Good on you. But I feel like that's a whole other topic. Like I like it's hard because like I get not wanting to believe government. Like I 100% to get that, but like I it's hard because we see Mars and we see all these other
Yeah.
planets that are not flat. But like I get kind of where they're coming from because we never see the other side of the moon. We don't see the other sides of the planets and stuff like that. Like you know, so it's just kind of hard to believe in something like that when it's been disproven by science. Like I'm very much a science person. Like so
Yeah, I mean, yes,
yeah,
definitely.
it's hard for me to like believe that. But I feel like if they were to take that and separate the two sides of the flat earth, believers, the ones that just don't want to believe government, and then the ones that believe in the literally flat earth, then I feel like that would be a much better approach and they would get a lot more support. But because people see, flat earth, they don't even want to look into it because obviously, I don't want to say it's not correct, but it's not correct. Um,
So
you get
I
what I
kind of
mean?
want to like, yeah, I kind of want to like talk more, a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like I'm not a flat earther. Like of course, like I said before, it's proven by science that a disc-shaped object is not able to withstand the force that is being pushed upon
Mm-hmm.
by itself. Like in the cosmos, like it's everything is circular because that is what is able to handle the pressure of like everything pushing against itself, like
Mm-hmm.
that's just the default shape that you have to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But like looking past that, I also see like it's not just I have seen some examples on how people do actually believe in a flat earth.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember watching a video or something about how a plane that was diverted off, like they had to make an emergency landing or some sort,
Mm-hmm.
and I do not know what the plane was actually. If I can maybe find that, but it like it was heading from shoot, I think it was heading from like okay, I actually don't know where it's heading, but like it like it had to make an emergency landing, and the route it took, if you look at a globe, it doesn't make sense why they like had an emergency landing somewhere,
I
but
can talk a little
it
bit about that. I know exactly what we're talking about. So
uh,
so you know how in the ocean there are currents, right? And there's different, literally like current streams that go, one way and another, and
well, I
you've
definitely
seen that, right?
understand
You
why.
you see that,
Yeah, no,
like,
no.
right? And then so
Yeah.
like it's the same way with air. Air has different flow currents. So planes like to go the route that the currents take, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
that's
no.
I feel like that's why, because I have seen that specific example that you were talking about, and
Uh,
that is what made the most sense why they did, because it's just the easiest. It'll get there faster, save fuel, etc., etc. So like, yeah.
yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about because all planes, like if you go from America to Asia,
Mhm.
they all take the same like flight path
Mhm.
that goes up more into the northern part, like Alaska and like the North
Mhm.
Pole,
Yeah.
and then they like kind of curve down because I do believe that is the airstream,
Mhm.
the flow. But yeah, so like I was just saying, I'm just, as I was saying, I'm not like going to say that flat Earth theory is correct. I'm just
Mhm.
saying like that is what a lot of flat earthers bring up when they're trying to prove their theory.
Yeah.
And it's not just like again not going from like the definitive saying that the earth is flat. Like there's also I believe there's also a like a religious side of it that has to do with like predeterminism and all that stuff,
Oh,
and
really?
how like yeah, I believe like they believe that having a flat Earth means that like there is a heaven. You know what I mean? Like you know how we always think about how heaven is literally in the sky, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like kind of the I guess dumb way of thinking about it. But if heaven was in the sky, then that would be impossible on a flat Earth, right?
Yeah.
I hope you guys. I mean, not a flat Earth, on a spherical Earth, because like it would just be floating in all 360 degrees in like every single direction,
Yeah.
right? That would be kind of weird. But if we, I think the religious side of it is like that they believe in the flat Earth because we can easily separate like Earth, heaven, and like let's just say hell or like the underworld. You know, like it's like an easier separation for like the religious
Yeah.
standpoint. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I feel
So
like,
I think there might be like a good amount of people who support the flat Earth theory just because of like what I said about
yeah.
religion. Yeah.
I
And
guess,
another thing too is like it's people like to believe that they have access to certain knowledge that only they have.
hmm
Yeah.
It gives them satisfaction to know that, oh, I'm smarter than all of you.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Based on like what interviews I've seen, that's what they're proud of. They have this knowledge that is exclusive to them.
Yeah. Like even if that knowledge is like factually incorrect or like at least not proven correct, like it's just it's also a pride thing definitely because like
Yeah.
they think of themselves as like more intelligent or more woke or more whatever, you know.
Like for
Hmm.
me, it's very hard because you say the heaven situation, which I get that like it's much more probable that you know it's much more easy to visualize for people that need to see to believe, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously not correct because we have constellations, like how how else do you expect the constellations to come about at a certain time every single year, like
Up to the
Yeah,
point you can predict.
I'm just
because it was a
talking about it in
flat
like the
earth,
dumber way.
if it's a flat
Uh-huh.
earth, you would only see, like, would we have a rotation? Absolutely not.
Uh-huh.
Like, we might have a revolution, but we're not going to have a rotation. Like, that's
Uh-huh.
how would we have a rotation on a flat plane? You know what I'm saying? Like, and and so even if so, like how would we have like an atmosphere? Like, would it just be like a rectangular atmosphere? Like,
I think literally people think it's like a domed atmosphere. It's kind
so
of funny.
okay, so a domed atmosphere. Even so, like, how would we have GPS? If you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, because like GPS uses a minimum of what I think.
I mean, a lot of
Yeah, they
satellites.
use a lot of satellites for GPS. I think the minimum was like anywhere from like 3 to like 27 at once.
Because they need
Like
to
yeah,
triangulate where you are,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's just crazy, and like a GPS wouldn't be able to work unless it's
Mm-hmm.
like 360 degrees, right? Like, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just it's absolutely immaculate to me that people don't believe it, and like I know one or that people do believe it, sorry, um like there was one debate where this guy was like standing on a hill, and then there was another hill that was like 1,000 miles away or something stupid. It wasn't 1,000 miles, but it was a significant amount, and there was like, oh, there's no curvature, ooh, and
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, because the earth is huge. Like, we are a speck of dust compared to
I
the
think it's
earth.
actually you are actually able to see like I guess you would like quote unquote say curvature,
Mhm.
because with the sunrise and like sunset,
Mhm.
like it does actually like it kind of has like a what do you call it? It's not like it's going straight down, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you kind of see that it kind of like fades into like
Mhm.
I guess the other side of the globe, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like also like people claim you can even watch YouTube videos, but when people go all the way up to Mount Everest or Mount Everest, the tallest, mountain in the world or whatever, they can see the curvature.
Hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
very like it's slight, but it's there.
Is there,
It
right?
is there. And
Like I feel like the easiest way, like as a person of science, like the easiest way to prove that the Earth is spherical is literally what I said about like the amount of force that is being pushed on to like
yeah.
the Earth in every single direction to maintain its spherical shape. Because like if you
Mhm.
literally like it's impossible to have a massive disk and like just flying through the cosmos
Mhm.
because like that is gonna crumble, bro.
And like I wonder.
That is gonna be a black hole. Honestly, like that is a black hole.
Yeah.
That is gonna crumble upon each other and it's gonna become like a black hole.
I want to
Mm-hmm.
see a map of what the flat earthers think the world looks like.
They they think that the Arctic, I mean the North Pole is in the middle, and that we are surrounded by an Antarctical, like the Antarctica is
The
a
ice wall,
surrounding
they call
wall.
it,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Yeah.
an
Oh,
ice
really?
wall that surrounds the entirety of the plane of like the disk.
So I guess talking about that, I know people, the flat Earth theory thinks that uh, you're not allowed to fly over the Arctic, and people think because of that, that's
I think it's
why,
Antarctica
or
we're not allowed
Antarctica.
to fly.
Well,
Yeah,
isn't Antarctica and the Arctic connected?
the
Or am
Arctic
I
is the
completely wrong?
North
Now they're on
Pole,
opposite
Oh,
sides
okay,
opposite
okay,
technically.
side.
okay. So
Yeah.
uh, like you're not able to fly over it, and I think that's what also fuels that is because like literally you
Hmm.
will be stopped, like no one has done it,
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
and so I think that's another
But again,
contribution.
it's like we don't have anybody inhabiting there. You know what I mean? Like why would
Mm,
you ever need to like let's just say a traditional commercial jet, right? There's no reason for this jet to ever fly
mm-hmm.
to the to the South Pole to
True.
Antarctica because literally like even the like I think Chile or I think I'm not sure if it was actually South Africa or Chile is closer
Oh,
to
this is
the South Pole,
weird. This is very
but
weird. I'm looking at it now.
mhm. Like literally there's no point to ever fly there because the cities like even the lowest point most southern cities are still like
Yeah.
way far from like the South Pole.
This is
And
such a weird
there are
model.
stations that are like scientific research stations that are set up in Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is of course suspicious that you're not allowed to fly through there. It's like the same thing that we said about like Area 51 or like any
Yeah.
other government, regulated place. But it's definitely suspicious, but it's also kind of understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Which is fair. I don't know. Like coming from such a science side, like such a science mind. Like I'm looking at I'm still stuck on the fact about this model. Like it looks so
So I kind of want to
weird.
show you guys something. If you guys like direct your attention to the chat,
Mhm.
it's like if you can see the picture, like this is absolutely ridiculous. If you just look at it, like what the fuck? If you know what I'm talking about.
I'm looking at it now.
Like it's so
Yeah.
stupid if you just
Like
it's
yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So like the moon is spherical. We can see
Hmm.
that in the sky that it's spherical. Like even when even when it's not a full moon, like even when it's like a crescent moon, you can see it, the outline of the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever like looked at the
Hmm.
moon and looked at it? Like, you could still see, like, you can complete the circle. Like, it's there. And so, like, if it wasn't that, like, if it was a square or a rectangle, we would be able to see that in the sky. So why is it that the Earth is the only thing that is, flat? What, it's not even flat, like it's like
It's
it's literally
literally Minecraft,
it's
bro.
yeah, it's a 3D rectangle, like
Yeah,
looking at it, and like, so even looking at the actual model, it's a sphere, but it's like a flat sphere, you know what I'm saying? So like, but like, how flat is it? Like, how far does it go down? And like,
But I feel like they're like taking an oval, right? Like if you like take a circle, they're just
mhm.
literally stretching it into a massive oval, and that's what they determine as like flat.
Well, it's not even an oval. It's a circle. Like, all the
Yeah, if
models,
you
it's a
just like
circle.
flatten it, that's just what they think it is, which is kind of
And
funny.
it,
I
like,
mean, like, it would be
even,
so difficult, right?
bro, even
How
in
do
this
they?
picture,
Mhm.
even in this modeled picture, it shows the moon as being
Yeah, I see
spherical.
what you're talking about.
Like, I,
So also like a real quick thing, I think like flat earthers they kind of they do have this like sense of importance, if you know what I mean, right?
mm-hmm.
Like they believe that Earth is the center of all things. It's kind of
are,
like this is
are
wait,
we
let me
going
just
back? Are we going back in
Back to the
We're
Dark
scientific?
going back in
Ages.
time,
no no
boys.
I'm just saying, okay, like in ancient China, this is like an idea, right? In ancient China, I'm not saying like ancient Chinese people did believe that the Earth was flat. I don't think they actually did believe that the Earth was flat, but it's like the idea that they're in the middle of everything. They're the center of attention. Attention, like China in Chinese is called 中国, which literally means like middle country, if you would say,
Mhm.
right?
Yep,
Middle
yep.
country, because that's what they believe in. That China is in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
world. It is so important. If you take that idea and then just give it to all like flat earthers, I would say like they want to believe that the Earth is the center of all things and that everything else is orbiting the Earth, and that just gives like a bit of like self like they like it's like pride, like they have like they feel the importance of like every human on earth, like that we are somehow like dictating everything in the cosmos, and like it's just kind of funny when you think about it that people can be so like prideful, I guess,
How
or
self-centered can you be?
yeah,
You know?
literally
As
that's what it
self-centered as
is.
the earth.
Yeah.
Are you that desperate for approval
Hmm.
that again, what I mentioned, that I have access to this secret wisdom that nobody else has.
Definitely, that's definitely
No
what
matter what
people believe.
evidence you give me, my mind is set. I mean, like,
Hmm.
Science, you're not
you,
real.
you don't even have to like go to space to prove it. You know, have you ever taken a plane? Have you ever
Yeah.
been in a plane? You know, do you ever wonder why you could fly from North America to Asia and then take the other way back to America? But again, like, plane tickets are expensive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
$1,200, that's not cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
not
funny.
gonna.
It's kind of funny how we just like some people just don't believe in like progress. I would almost say.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of don't believe in that we are progressing. I would like we are actually developing technology that they can't personally comprehend, or like even like theories and ideas that are so difficult that it might just turn some people off.
Uh, you would think, as the more discoveries, we discovered, people would be more more likely to believe them. But I guess like again, it all comes back to government and how people don't trust the government. Like
Yeah.
it all circles back. Like every single conspiracy theory that I can think of circles back to the government. Every single one that I can think of, like
It's
off the
always
top
the
of
So
my head.
government.
so you know what's kind of funny? You know how religion is such a big thing in in the world, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's really funny to me how people don't want to believe in a powerful authority figure, and yet we idolize religion. You know, we idolize Jesus Christ, we idolize Muhammad, or like we idolize all these. We idolize Buddha. We idolize. We want to follow them to death, essentially. Well, not all of us, but like there's a good amount of people that do, and yet when it comes to like a different form of authority and a different form of power. We just can't comprehend. We can't accept that. You know,
Mm-hmm. I
it's very funny if you think about it because in the past, since we believe that Jesus Christ did in fact come to earth and was among us at some point, if
mm-hmm.
we are idolizing him like that, and essentially back then we were literally, it's like he was a president or something because people were following him because they believed in his words. It's kind of like if you just take modern day Jesus Christ, you would just put that
Mm-hmm.
somewhere and that would just be a leader of a country or something like that. And yet we can't believe that. We are unable to believe that, but we can believe religion.
I feel
So
like
And
are
that
you
just,
saying that religion is a conspiracy theory in itself?
I'm not saying religion is a conspiracy theory.
Because
I
there are
just don't
so
understand.
much. Since we talked about the Da Vinci Code earlier,
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
it's basically saying that the whole like Roman Catholic Church is founded on a conspiracy theory. You know,
Uh-huh.
the whole Last
which
Supper, Mary Magdalene thing.
which
Uh-huh.
we can't disprove. Like
Uh-huh.
Yep.
there's no way to prove or
Definitely.
disprove that. Like we just don't know.
You know
Mhm.
how it's kind of funny. It actually also ties into like the Illuminati and whatever, and like
Yes,
But against
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
precisely.
Freemasonry.
Christ.
How like
Exactly,
the
Jesus
Pope
Christ.
or whatever is a part of this elite like membership. You would say like of the world's most like powerful people. You know, if you just take uh it's basically the same thing. If you take a president and a religion, like a religious leader, like with like the Illuminati, they literally make it like one thing, and I think that is very true to some extent. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That just that thought just like I just rambled on
So
about that
okay,
thought, but
so I guess to pick up on a point, I feel like it's easier for us to dislike. Yeah, I feel like it's easier for us to idolize, like religious figures, like you were saying, because uh, uh, because people, well, okay, so people know that that they're real, and that hold up, my mind, um,
You can do it.
and that like that they're the Almighty, the basically the savior or whatever. But when it comes to political figures like presidents, prime ministers, uh, stuff like that, these are just regular people. Like
Mhm.
they're no different than you and I, whereas, literal, like, spiritual figures are completely different on a completely different level. So it's easy to idolize them, but not idolize, like, political figures. Like, it's because we
so
know, like, we could, like, us as humans are so selfish. So, like, we want that position. Like, no matter how much you don't want to admit it, like you want to have a position of authority. You want to be greedy. You want to do this. You want to do that. So it's very easy to hate on somebody that literally has what you want, if that makes sense.
I kind of want to contrast something you said
Mm-hmm.
about religious leaders or figures being so much more divine than like regular you and I, you know.
Mhm.
So I believe I'm not 100% about 100% sure about like Christianity or whatever, but I mean there's like the fact of the time when Jesus supposedly came to Earth was that he was just like everyone else. You know, he was just like every other person, and people only followed him because he was apparently a good guy. You know,
Mhm.
that's kind of what I do. I do know that he did say that he is a messenger of God and like all the other stuff, and that he
Mhm.
is indeed the Son of God, which is kind of crazy if you think about that. If you just think about him walking the earth and claiming
Mhm.
that he's God, like, if you know
Well,
what I mean.
so it's not.
But and also before I finish, hold on. The thing about Buddhism, if you guys know anything about Buddhism, but basically a lot of people, I guess a good amount of like Buddhist leaders or figureheads, not figureheads, like religious leaders of the Buddhist religion. Like I think the beginning was that literally it was a person who had so much like spiritual power that
Mhm.
they just they like had so much dedication like
They
to
wanted to
pray
be like
literally.
him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that he literally became a god or somehow. And again, this is just like wow, he's I guess then that means that we can all be, you know, religious leaders or whatever, because we can just, if we have enough spiritual power, we can become a god or something. It's like I feel like it would be like the same idea. It's just as attainable as being a president if you, I guess, try hard enough. But again, like we still don't view them in the same way, and that's very interesting because so many things in the world have been started because of religion, you know,
Mhm.
and
And that's the
and
thing
we just
about
follow them
Buddhism,
to
though.
death.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's one of those religions that it's not about a supernatural deity. It's about a person
Hmm.
who reached that level
Yeah, they like reached nirvana or something.
just by being a good person.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the appeal of it. Unlike most religions, that there's always someone who has this power over you and will judge you. That's
Hmm.
the part that turns a lot of people off. It's like, uh, you didn't do anything for me all my life. Then who are you to judge me?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, like, I was raised in a religious family,
Okay.
so, but I try not to let it cloud my decision making.
Mhm.
I'm sorry to bash on religion as a whole, but like I just kind of think it's
Yeah, sorry, sorry
it's
to
a
interrupt
topic.
there.
No, no, no. Yeah. I just think it's an interesting thing to think about because we do treat religion very highly. You know, we a lot of wars have been started over religion. You know,
Mhm.
crusades, a lot of like terrorist acts. I'm not saying that it's all because of like one religion. I'm not blaming one religion for starting it, but
Mhm.
like I'm saying that it is a part of a problem almost. You know.
Yeah, which is fair.
Hmm.
Like, I feel like the hardest thing is that people don't want to. I don't want to say that they're wrong because we don't know. You know, like there's always that
Hmm.
possibility, that chance. But like at the end of the day, you don't know, and like what you believe is like what you believe. Like you're not gonna change other people's views. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't know. I feel like again, it all just comes back to government hiding stuff from us.
Hmm.
Religion is a
And
result of the government hiding stuff.
I mean that is not true. I
Yeah.
mean that's just factually incorrect, but it definitely is still like going back.
It
Like
was a
yes,
joke.
no. I know. I'm just saying. Definitely got to talk about the powerful figureheads. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Or it's just crazy.
Hmm. You know, we've been talking for a while. I want to ask if Mally, stepsis Mally, we haven't really been doing the step thing, but Mally, if you have anything that you would like to talk about or add or just anything, honestly, I feel like I've been rambling on forever.
I genuinely have nothing to talk about. I just like
Yeah.
I've been listening this entire time, and I'm just like, this is very interesting.
Yeah,
I
Because I
I
this is
never,
interesting
I have
stuff.
more I can talk about if y'all are done. I
because
got
I'm
more.
usually not much of a person to like think too deeply on things. I'm just like I take everything at surface value and call it a day. Because
Same.
I mean, you don't have to. It's just it's fun to think about sometimes.
But you were talking about like religion and stuff like that, and I just remember this one thing that my history teacher told me, like because we were talking about like it's history. What more do you expect? But
Yeah.
he was saying that like if there's one thing you can't take away from somebody, it's their faith. You can strip away all of their
Mm.
skin, every single bit of them, but they'll still have their faith in what they believe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Whether that's
because
a
of that,
good or bad
human
thing.
stubbornness shit happens.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think I also had a similar conversation with one of my history teachers on how literally faith is what drives humankind pretty much. And I just as an atheist, I kind of question it a little bit
Mhm.
because it is kind of like, running blindly if you think
Yeah.
about it,
Mm.
right? It's
Yeah.
it's not really thinking for yourself. You're just praying that it will work, which is kind of like what predeterminism is. It's a little dumb if you think about it. Like you don't have a choice on what you do in your life. That's not very American of you, if I would say.
Very American of
Not
you.
very American.
But
I
as
mean, it
a
is. It's like American as a place of freedom, as a place of opportunity. We should believe in ourselves, and we should believe that we have our own. We can determine whatever path we want to, and I feel like religion kind of takes away from that.
as a person, I'm of Catholic religion. I do believe in a higher being and stuff like that. And there's
Hmm.
I don't know what to explain it, but it's just like there's a
Uh,
path that God kind of sets you on, and then you go about your way. He just kind of throw things at
mhm.
you and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm not saying that all religious people have like no drive or something. I'm just saying like if you think of just specifically predeterminism, like that is a very very extreme thought in my opinion. Not bashing on any other religion, but I'm
Mhm.
just saying
Mm.
like you
But
really do have to think for yourself.
yeah, just so we're all on the same page, though. Like, how do you define predeterminism?
Oh, I defy predeterminism as like I think the idea behind predeterminism is literally that God is all knowing and all controlling. Like he has a path for you, and no matter what you do, you will end up on the path.
So
I
it's
think that
similar
is
to
one.
destiny, right?
Yeah, yeah. Pre Is it called predeterminism? I know there's a term for it. It is kind of destiny. Like I believe it is called predeterminism. Yeah.
Yeah, predeterminism is basically like kind of like what you were describing. So basically, like when you're born, God already knows whether or not you're gonna go
You're
to
going to
heaven.
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So like they already know. So like no matter what you do, like it's already set in stone,
Yeah.
basically.
So I really just don't understand that part of like that extreme part of religion. But I'm not saying religion is definitely a good thing. I would say because religion definitely, for the most part, it teaches you to be a moral person. Right? It teaches you to be a good, a Samaritan. It
Yeah,
teaches you to
basically,
be a
like,
good person.
Mm-hmm.
every
But like,
religion, it just says, don't be an asshole, you know?
yeah,
That should
of
just
course,
Mm-hmm.
be one-page Bible, you know? That's just what it says. Don't be an
yeah.
asshole.
And God said, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, so definitely religion is a good thing, but there are some parts of religion I would like question.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, all of the dream, but you still wrote it down. You know, whatever
Mhm.
God said to you, you're free
Yeah.
to write whatever you wish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what's really confusing about it, the whole predeterminism, destiny in general.
Uh-huh.
So does this mean that free will is a lie? Every
I feel like.
decision I've made up to this point
Mhm.
is like a stage play.
Uh-huh.
So I'm basically hopeless from the moment I was born. I refuse to believe that.
Yeah, that's definitely the bad side of religion, in my opinion.
It's
To talk.
just
Mhm.
go ahead, Mali. What was that?
I thought it wasn't push to talk, but it's really funny because I was just watching Supernatural, and I don't want to give spoilers, but stuff with God happens, and then Sam and Dean, the main character of the Supernatural, were just questioning like, was this just like God just throwing things at us, and we were just puppets to this the entire time? And I'm listening to this, and I'm like,
They do
maybe
make a good
God,
point.
maybe God has led us here today.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well.
it's definitely something, to think about. Like, it's just, there's so many different possibilities. There's not really something that we can or can't say. Like, obviously, we can't prove it, we can't disprove it, so.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And like whatever you say about religion, you're always bound to run to someone who will be offended if you say anything negative
Yeah.
about what they believe in.
Oh
Which
yeah,
is
because of that like human pride, and they like don't want to let that go. It's just like you say something wrong about this, I'm gonna fight
back in the day they used to execute people
you.
who think otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like
Eep.
look at the Salem witch
I mean,
trials,
I
right?
mean, they still do in
Yeah.
other countries. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
so
Mm,
uh, it's just, it's very crazy.
it's
That
very
did happen
disheartening
during
to me.
like I was just saying like Nazi Germany and like fascist
Mm-hmm.
Italy. That was definitely an issue. Like
Yeah.
Kill the
religion was
Jews.
being
Yeah. Like.
suppressed.
Not
Like
just
even in
religion,
everything was being
thought
People.
in
suppressed.
general, thought,
Yeah.
free
Mm-hmm.
speech. It was all
Hmm.
suppressed. You know,
Like I just
everybody did the Nazi salute
uh-huh. Same thing with
because
communist China at that time. Like religion, thought, like even just being educated, everything was being suppressed. I think it was like not too long ago. So it's like it's an issue.
Yeah.
So like not saying we need to get rid of religion. You know, it's a thought.
Yeah.
He's just a thought.
I think we
Yes,
can
Mhm,
it's
end on
just.
that thought.
Hmm.
mhm.
Go home with a question, guys. What do you
Yeah.
think about religion? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's might be
Actually
somewhat?
flat.
Yeah.
Is it actually
Do you
flat? Is
think it
it
might
actually a
actually?
conspiracy?
I mean, that could definitely be true. I mean, you never know.
Mm.
Kidding. Yeah.
And
Alrighty, guys.
one another question. Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just asking for any last comments or questions or anything. So go ahead.
Have you guys ever experienced deja vu at any point in
So
your life?
okay,
I just
I
been in
wanna
this
Yes.
place before.
I wanna talk about deja vu like very quickly. I'm so sorry, Huna. So deja vu is actually scientific. It's not just what you would think. So deja vu is actually when your brain tries to. So it's when your brain processes a memory that's literally going on right at the moment, but then tries to do it again. And then that's why you feel deja vu, because literally your brain processed that it already happened, but then tried to do it a second time. So that's why you feel like it's already happened, because technically for your brain it did already happen, but you just feel this sense of, literally deja vu, but like it's literally just scientific. It's just your brain being weird and try to
So is it
process
just
too many
like
Your
things.
brain really just said, I've been in this place before.
Yeah,
So is
like
it just like your neurons
Rolling on
firing
the
way too
streets.
quickly?
uh,
It's just like
No music.
everything is
I
going on like speed mode.
I wouldn't say that. It's just when your brain, tries to filter in memories, to short term, long
Hmm.
term, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Because everything's working at the
Hmm.
same time. Just sometimes, it's bound to mess up. It's
Mm-hmm.
just the way life
Mm-hmm.
works. So it
Mm-hmm.
just tries to do it twice, and that's
Hmm.
why you feel the sense of deja vu. It didn't actually happen before. You're in that same situation, but like, you know, yeah. But that's what deja vu really is. It's literally just your brain trying to process what's going on twice, so you remember it. So
How
Yeah, I
about
mean, but
a
like
point where
still.
like you're literally sure that you've dreamed? Like you
okay,
go
that
Oh,
somewhere
that is a
new.
that
different.
is,
I've had that happen before. It's
yeah, that
insane.
I believe that's probably the same thing as deja vu if you just kind of break it
No,
down.
no, no,
But
no, no, no,
I've
no,
had those dreams
no.
that it literally feels like it's gonna be
Oh
reality,
no,
or like.
no, I've had it happen where it was reality. I literally had a dream where I went to the doctor's office and then there was a blonde headed girl there that was a doctor's assistant. That is so specific. And I went to the doctor like a couple months later and like literally the next time I went to the doctor there was a lady there, a blonde headed lady that was a doctor's assistant.
Again, this can all be problem. It might be. I mean, I'm not saying it is, but it could very well just be your brain messing up again.
No,
But
but I
it's
literally
No,
had a dream. I remember the
you're
dream.
legit sure that you
I
dreamt it.
I 100% sure that I drew it because I remembered it. I was like, why? That's such a weird, vivid dream. Because I remember I wrote it down. That's why I remember it. And whenever I write down
Mm,
dreams, I remember them pretty well. So I wrote
yeah.
it down, and I remember specifically that it was a blonde-headed doctor's assistant.
Mm,
And then the next time I went to the doctor, she was there.
yeah. And it's like if you guys are out of the loop, like me and Hinata, we've talked about dreams before.
Yeah.
hmm.
Like as soon as we wake up, we describe our dreams to each other.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before in chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I need to do that
Yeah.
again. I haven't done it in a while because I don't
I
Yeah.
remember
did not
dreams.
see that, and I'm very intrigued now.
Well,
We'll
because
have a dream
you
journal.
guys bury it in your 700 messages.
Yeah, my bad.
But yeah,
I don't actually
that
dream that much, so
that's the kind of thing. Like actually, uh, everyone dreams for the most part in their sleep. It's just that you just don't remember most of it.
Yeah.
You only
hmm.
ever remember the part that happens right before you wake up.
Well,
Yeah.
you have about it's anywhere from 5 to 7 dreams a night actually,
Yes.
because you
Hmm.
Yeah.
go into
REM sleep for
yeah,
your dreams.
it's a wave. Like you literally go in and out of this
Hmm.
what quote unquote dream state, which is just REM sleeping,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it, sleeping can be a whole nother topic, that we discuss because like
Oh yeah.
there like I took psychology and like that was a big thing in
Me
psychology
too.
was
Me
just
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
sleeping.
Hey, let's
Like
go.
it's actually insane. Like again, we could have a
Hmm.
whole nother
That's kind of
Shout
podcast
like
about
the
out
it.
to my
thing with like
go ahead.
the thing with dreaming, right? It's kind of, I don't know if you guys realize it, but your dreams are very short, right? If like
Mm-hmm.
at least what you remember, and that kind of makes sense when you think about it, because you are only remembering the last time you had REM sleep, right? And that's only
Mm-hmm.
like a 7 minute 7 minute like time period, I believe.
Oh.
So like even though you remember like every time I have a dream, it always feels like super quick, and then you wake up, and then you're like on with the day, right? And
Mhm.
it
Mm-hmm.
makes a lot of sense when you think about it. So yeah, definitely sleep is a very interesting topic that
Mm-hmm.
we can maybe get into some other time.
Yeah. Definitely
But
some
yeah,
other
the
time.
the thing is like what I wanted to ask is why is it so specific that you dream something that happens in the future? Now we're gonna loop it back to the very first topic that we have. Is it some form of mental time travel?
Oh,
Mm.
That is a conspiracy all of in itself.
I don't say that it's
Yeah,
a
I was leading to something with
conspiracy.
this. It's like,
Well,
and to the topic we had earlier, your predeterminism is that.
Mm,
So
mm,
does this mean that up to this point was everything predetermined? Because I dreamt that this was gonna happen.
mm.
that is a
Is
very
this
interesting point.
where I was supposed to be? So I'm just trying to like consolidate all our topics together.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm
Because I've read about that. It's one form. There's one form of time travel. It's like mental time travel. It's just sort of like an astral projection
Yeah. But
that your mind goes forward.
that's not time travel. Astral projection is more like you're entering another realm almost. Like your
Mm-hmm.
spirit leaves your body and literally travels. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that's necessarily time travel. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you could, I guess, but I would have to
hmm
look more into astral projection. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but again, like
That's a
this,
whole rabbit hole for
yeah,
another time.
this is definitely for
I
another time.
mean, this is. I think this is a great place to end on.
Mm-hmm.
We can everybody can go home and think of some questions. Some things about predeterminism and things about
Mm-hmm.
religion and things about dreaming. And those all very interesting topics that we kind of touched upon.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be great to hear any of your ideas or
Your
your
thoughts.
opinions. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
leave
Most
them in
definitely.
the comments below. We'll read them.
We will definitely read
And
them.
if you have like any questions for each of us, please do let us know
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yeah, we'll answer
Mhm.
them.
Okay, all right. I think that is going to conclude the second part of our conspiracy slash a bunch of random other stuff podcast.
Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
Destiny, of course.
the
So
podcast.
thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time.